7 psychological reasons you keep repeating the same mistakes. Have you ever told yourself, I will never do that again? And somehow, months later, you find yourself making the same mistake? It can feel confusing. You know what happened last time. You remember how it ended. So why do you still repeat the pattern? The answer isn't always that you don't know better. Sometimes, your brain is simply following a pattern it has learned. Here are 7 psychological reasons people repeat the same mistakes. Number 1. Your brain prefers what is familiar. Your brain constantly tries to make life easier by relying on patterns. When you've done something many times, your brain doesn't have to work as hard to decide what to do next. That's why familiar behavior can feel almost automatic. And here's the interesting part. Something doesn't have to be good for it to feel familiar. You can become comfortable with a pattern that is actually harmful or unhelpful simply because you've experienced it many times. So sometimes, the question isn't, why do I keep choosing this? It may be, why does this feel so familiar to me? Number 2. Immediate rewards can beat long-term consequences. Your brain naturally pays attention to what feels rewarding right now. For example, you may know that procrastinating will create problems later, but scrolling on your phone feels enjoyable immediately. The future consequence is far away. The reward is happening now. This is one reason people can repeatedly choose something they know isn't good for them. Knowing the consequence doesn't automatically make the immediate reward less attractive. Number 3. Stress can push you back into automatic behavior. When you're calm, you may make thoughtful decisions. But when you're stressed, tired, overwhelmed, or under pressure, you may rely more heavily on habits and familiar responses. That's why someone can genuinely decide to change, but during a stressful moment, suddenly find themselves doing exactly what they promised to stop doing. The problem isn't necessarily that the decision to change wasn't genuine. The problem may be that the old pattern is easier to access under pressure. Number 4. You may remember the lesson, but not practice it. There's a big difference between understanding something and changing your behavior. You can watch hundreds of motivational videos. You can recognize your mistakes. You can even explain exactly what you should have done differently. But if you don't repeatedly practice a different response, the old behavior can remain your default. Awareness is the beginning of change. It isn't the entire process. Number 5. Your environment can keep triggering the same behavior. Sometimes we focus entirely on willpower, but your surroundings matter too. The people around you, the places you're in, what you see every day, and what is easily available to you can all influence your behavior. For example, if you are trying to spend less time on your phone, but keep it beside you every time you're supposed to work, you're constantly putting yourself close to the trigger. Changing the environment can sometimes be easier than constantly fighting the same temptation. Number 6. Your brain can make excuses that protect your current behavior. When our actions don't match what we believe about ourselves, it can create mental discomfort. So sometimes, instead of changing the behavior, we create an explanation for it. I was too tired. It's not really that serious. I'll start tomorrow. Everybody does it. And sometimes those explanations may be partly true. But if the same explanation keeps appearing every time the same behavior happens, it may be worth questioning whether it's helping you understand the problem or helping you avoid changing it. Number 7. You may be trying to change the behavior without understanding the trigger. Every repeated behavior usually happens in a context. Something happens before it. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's a particular person. Maybe it's a certain environment. Maybe it's a specific time of day. If you only focus on the behavior itself, you may miss what keeps triggering it. So instead of asking only, why did I do this again? Try asking, what happened immediately before I did it? That question can reveal patterns you weren't noticing before. And here's the most important thing. Repeating a mistake doesn't automatically mean you're incapable of changing. Human behavior is influenced by habits, rewards, stress, environment, and learned patterns. But once you start identifying the pattern, you can start changing what happens before the behavior and eventually practice a different response.
So the next time you catch yourself repeating something you promised you wouldn't do, don't only ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what pattern am I following? Because sometimes understanding the pattern is the first step toward breaking it. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 reasons do you think people overlook the most? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoy psychology explained in simple, everyday language, follow or subscribe for more.